The one thing you may not know about me is I'm a big fan of the Doom video game franchise. And in 2005, we got a long-awaited theatrical adaptation of that video game. And it was something. Hey, what's up everybody? Nick here, and today I wanted to give you a blast from the past. We are approaching the 20th anniversary of the first ever film adaptation of Doom. Yes, Doom from 2005, a movie that even if you haven't seen it, I guarantee you've seen that poster. I guarantee you saw that DVD on the shelves of Blockbuster or Hollywood Video years and years ago. And maybe you thought it looked stupid and it was not something you at all wanted to watch. And I'm here to tell you, you're not wrong. I also thought this was a perfect time to look back at this movie because we're a month away from the hotly anticipated release of Doom: The Dark Ages, the newest Doom video game. Now let me take you back to being a kid, okay? The late 90s Doom 64 comes out for the Nintendo 64. Nintendo 64, being a 90s kid, was our console of choice in our household. And that video game changed my life. I loved that game. So much so that as I got older and I got an Xbox, I was buying the remasters of the older games as they were coming out. Doom, Doom 2, Hell on Earth, Doom 3, and then eventually in the 2010s we would finally get Xbox One versions, new games, Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, and then soon to be Doom: The Dark Ages. Now, I'm actually in the midst of replaying these games right now leading up to The Dark Ages because I cannot freaking wait for that video game. And I kept thinking to myself, you know, I remember that movie. I want more Doom in my life, and I think I remember that movie, and I don't remember it being that bad. Now, as a big fan of the video games, let me just say, the problems with Doom 2005 started with the premise. I didn't even need to get into the film to already have an issue with it. And after rewatching it, I remembered why I hadn't watched it in probably 2 decades since it came out, because I did not like the movie. Look, the storyline of Doom, loosely, throughout all the video games, is that you are the Slayer, or the Doom guy. You are with the UAC, and you are trying to stop a demonic takeover of Earth, essentially. Like, you go through Mars as well, there's a lot to it, but that's basically the gist of it, okay? You gotta kill demons. You gotta close the gateways to hell, basically. You have to stop hell from taking over Earth and destroying everything. Now, that shouldn't be too hard to do, right? Make a movie and have it take place between Mars and Earth and have it be a demonic infestation, and you have to eliminate these demons before they take over Earth. Like, shouldn't be hard at all. Well, Doom 2005 does not do that. See, Doom 2005 takes you to Mars, to a research facility on Mars, but it's a bioengineered weapon, essentially, that is turning people into this infected, zombie, monstrous thing sometimes, but not all the time. And you might hear me say that and go, that doesn't really make much sense. Yeah, it doesn't. It absolutely does not. Look, you have already missed the boat here. And as a Doom fan, I was pissed off because I understand this movie came out in the mid-2000s, so they are directly competing with the Resident Evil movies. This is when Resident Evil was taking off. I understand, Dawn of the Dead had just come out, I totally get it. But they went the route of zombies, zombification essentially, the infected, overrun by the infected, and that is not at all Doom. So I already had an issue with that just from the very beginning. Now I do want to say this has a pretty good cast, like it actually does. You know, you got Dwayne Johnson in what is actually a good role for him. I'm somebody that's been pretty critical of him because I don't think he has much range, but this is what he's good at, and he does it really well. Carl Urban's pretty good in this movie too, just doing what he's asked to do. You even have Richard Brake, which was nice to see. I was like, dude, Richard Brake. And I don't know if this is good or bad, but it doesn't look like he's aged in 20 years. He's just kind of always looked old. As you watch this movie, you realize it plays a lot like the movies of that time. It is about quarantining, stopping the spread, not letting this get out because it'll overrun the world. Again, not totally out of line with Doom if it was a demonic infestation, which in reality you couldn't really stop because that doesn't spread like a virus, but whatever. There's some dumb fun to be had here. There are some funny moments, particularly with Richard Brake. There's some decent action throughout. There's some nice effects. There's some cool creature designs. Like, there's stuff to be had in this movie. But I couldn't help but find myself while watching this movie continually feeling like it was absolutely missing the point of Doom and what those video games were. Now, that's not to say that they don't try to throw some things in there and pepper some nostalgia in there for the fans, because they absolutely do. Yes, of course, you get the BFG, the Bioforce gun, or if you're a Doom fan, you know what we call it. Yes, you do get an FPS moment. It's a sequence that's kind of drawn out near the end of the movie, but I will say even that's a letdown, because it's not like it is in the games. It is an FPS, but it's, zombies, essentially. You're just going around the corners. Oh, there's a zombie. Oh, there's a zombie. Like, this movie is almost indistinguishable entirely from the Resident Evil movies of the same time. And of course, you have the UAC, you have mentions of the Ark. Obviously, like I said, most of this film takes place on Mars. So there's enough there to where you go like, okay, I see what they're trying to do here. But it does not at all play like a Doom video game. And then you get to the final act of the movie, which is very reminiscent of a fight with Alice in Resident Evil Apocalypse, except it's not as bombastic, it's not as believable, and it's just not as fun. And that's the end of the movie. That's basically Doom in a nutshell. There's really not much else here. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I didn't find myself bored with this movie. I'm not going to rake this movie over the coals and say that it is an atrocious movie. For a mid-2000s sci-fi action movie, this does a lot of what some of those Resident Evil movies did. It doesn't have terrible effects. It's got some nice kills. It's got some nice action. I think that it was cast pretty well. Like, there's some stuff to like here. It's dumb fun. Having said that, though, it's called Doom. It's based off of a super popular ID Software game franchise. And with that, myself and probably every other fan was expecting to see a lot more in line with what Doom at its core actually is. And this movie is just not that at all. And that's kind of the worst thing you can do when it comes to video game film adaptations. When you can take a name, thinking that that name in and of itself is going to bring in business and excite people and make you money, but not actually honor that source material. That's kind of a kick in the balls, honestly, and it really pissed me off. And I was having vivid memories of 20 years ago when I saw this movie and thinking like, this is bullshit. This is not what I asked for. This isn't Doom. And clearly it wasn't just me, because this movie flopped at the box office. It got terrible reviews by critics, and I would say fans were even harsher on it. Go to Reddit, go to Rotten Tomatoes, and just read some of these fan reviews. And you can tell who are fans of the game, who are expecting a faithful adaptation of the video game, and you just don't get it here. Now, Universal was really hoping that this would start a new film franchise. And with a hot property like Doom, that looked like it was going to be a sure bet, right? Well, Universal, let me give you some advice. If you're going to do that, I don't know, maybe actually make a Doom movie and not a Resident Evil movie packaged as a Doom movie, because Doom fans aren't going to buy that shit. And they did a reboot a couple years back called Doom Annihilation. Now, I've never seen it because I was so scarred by Doom 2005 that I was just like, I have absolutely no interest whatsoever. And I've heard that it's a more faithful adaptation than Doom 2005 is, but that it also is garbage, that it's not good. So it's basically like comparing a douche and a turd sandwich. Which one do you prefer? Neither one's great, but I guess one technically has to be better than the other. And this is why video game adaptations are always so tricky. And believe me, I'm no stranger to this. It is hard to capture enough of what people loved from a video game, but making it accessible enough to general audiences. You have to take some liberties if you're really hoping to have a movie that's going to have broad appeal. I understand that, but this was just not it. This wasn't taking liberties. This was, again, taking an entirely different film and just slapping a name on it, hoping that that would bring people in. And that's frustrating. So as we're approaching the release of Doom: The Dark Ages, I myself am sitting here thinking, we need a faithful adaptation. We deserve one. And we'd love to have a really good one. Sure, we're scarred by what they did before, but that doesn't mean they can't learn lessons from it and get it right. And again, that's not to say that everything is bad about the movie. Because like I said, if you take it at face value as just a sci-fi action thriller with some over-the-top acting and some corny moments and, everything you got in the mid-2000s, you can have a fun time with this movie. It's just kind of brainless fun. But narratively, it doesn't make any sense. It packs no punch, and it's just not Doom. So I don't know what it's going to take or if it's ever going to happen to where we could get a faithful adaptation, but I'd love to see it because in my estimation, Doom 2005 is just not it. And again, if you have fun with it and you think it's harmless, that's great, but we can agree, this ain't Doom. I want to know what you guys thought of Doom. Is this a video game franchise that you also grew up with and loved, or is it one that you've gotten into recently with the Xbox games? Is this a movie that you have a fondness for, or is this a movie that left a sour taste in your mouth and maybe you never want to see another adaptation of Doom again? Whatever it may be pertaining to Doom 2005, I want to hear it down below in the comments section. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please leave a like on it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. This is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I'm pulling out.